it's like that thing I'll never forget. The first time I saw a legal AI give me this answer. You're not going to get the wrong lawyer who's completely not equipped at that. So why would you use the wrong tool that's not equipped or for purpose?
Welcome to Beyond Billable Driving Conversations. I am Pim Betist, founder of Clay Richard, legal AI consultants. Each episode, I get behind the wheel of a fully electric Neo with a thought leader from the legal world. We drive and talk about what AI is changing in legal right now. You will hear practical ideas you can apply this week, clear views on business model adaptations, and honest stories from teams that are already working differently. Today I am joined by Suzanne van der Klip, a lawyer who built her career in corporate practice before stepping into the world of legal innovation. At A&O Shearman, she helped pioneer the firm's first innovation team, explored the potential of legal tech from its early days, and was closely involved in developing tools like Contract Matrix that brought AI straight into the heart of contract negotiation. She brings both the perspective of someone who has lived the realities of law firms and the vision of someone shaping how AI can make legal work faster, more efficient, and more meaningful. In this conversation, we talk about what it takes to get lawyers to actually adopt technology, the opportunities and risks AI brings to firms and in-house teams, and how platforms and point solutions may coexist in the years to come. Suzanne also shares her thoughts on the changing leverage model in big law, the rise of boutique firms, and why trust and relationships remain at the core of innovation. So buckle up. This is Beyond Billable, Driving Conversations with Suzanne van der Klip. So you ready?
I'm ready.
Good.
Let's do it.
Welcome in Driving Conversations.
Thank you for having me, Pim.
So cool. Let's take off.
So you need to warn me when the singing starts. You know, when we get to the karaoke part.
Yeah, I'll tell you. You'll notice.
You will too.
Okay. Let's get you introduced. Can you tell our audience a little bit about yourself and your background?
Oh, how long do you have?
About 40 minutes.
I'll try and keep it short. Let's get to the innovation part a little bit sooner.
Please.
I'm Suzanne. I started out, as I call it, a character building number of years ago as a corporate lawyer. So first at another law firm, and then 23 years ago I went to A&O and joined the M&A team there. Mm-hmm. And then I think I was just always interested. So there's this creative part of me that, you know, I didn't always feel I was necessarily giving enough attention to as a corporate lawyer, although there is some creativity for sure. And I was always just really interested in how can we do this more efficient. I got almost a little annoyed from the repetitive works, the things that I felt were sort of mundane, where I wasn't really feeling like I was adding value. So hence came this quest for let's do things in a more efficient way. And then first of all, pre-legal tech, that started with like standardizing contracts and drafting templates. And I really like drafting and making sure that, you know, one of the most inherent inefficient processes like due diligence we were skilling up on that, on getting that whole process done more efficiently. And then I, through that, also came across the first legal tech tools. And that was just, you know.
And when is this? Like what year?
2016.
Okay.
So early days for legal tech. And that just turned into, oh, this is my happy place. This is what I love. So I started an innovation team in 2017. And yeah, that was, you know, not that easy at first.
And what made it difficult?
Well, first of all, you're going to the partners and saying, you know, that you want to do this, and they were supportive, and I'm very lucky that way. They generally trusted my instincts, but there's still, sure, you can do that, but then do it next to your day job that we actually understand better, right? So it was a bit of a hobby and a passion project at the start, and that slowly grew bigger and bigger. And there were definitely times where I loved it, got really involved, and sometimes I also got I was defeated if things didn't work, and then it was kind of nice to have my day job to go back to, which is corporate law. But then, of course, things grew from there, and it became a bigger role, and I started doing it much more exclusively, and wonderfully was really able to build an amazing team there. So, and then, I don't know, how was it the first time you saw a legal Gen AI tool really work? What was your reaction, Pim?
It was wow.
Yeah.
It was wow. Because I had been working with raw LLMs.
Oh,
so, ChatGPT, Claude,
yeah.
and basically been fooling around with that. And then when I saw, the way things can be, so it speeds up the whole thing, and getting access to the right sources. It's kind of mind-boggling when you think about the impacts of it.
It really is. It's like that thing I'll never forget. The first time I saw a legal AI give me this answer, I was just this aha moment. I was almost like giddy.
When was this?
This was in, I think it was January 2023, so early days, right?
Oh, wow,
yeah. All kudos to very visionary innovation team at A&O Shearman that we really early on got access to Harvey. I think we were the first ones that they, we onboarded them as in the big way. I think that was sort of the first collaboration. So, I was just amazed. I was just so invigorated, and I couldn't believe that people were still talking at the lunch table about other stuff. I was like, why are we still, talking about this small contract or this little, jurisdiction that happened, or this court case that happened, in a lower court? Why are we not talking about this? It was just so amazing.
Yeah.
So, so the innovation team got bigger, and we did cooler stuff. We started, I was able to join, or at least help the global team, and we started really building our own solution, which was it's just, you learn so much from being on a build side. So I thought that was amazing.
And what
I learned
type of
so much.
What type of own solution was that? What did it do?
That was a contract negotiation solution. So you were really able to in Word, Microsoft Word, you were able to, like, on the one hand, bring together all your good precedents, and on the other hand, use AI to do a lot of sort of the contract drafting and reviewing and help you in your negotiations.
Oh, and is that like the thing that's out there right now? Is that,
Yeah,
that's the
contract matrix.
Exactly.
Yes.
You built that.
No, I did not. Very clever people did, but I was definitely at one point very involved in the team, and we were joined up. Because, I had done so much contract drafting and negotiating and drafted so many templates from my earlier innovation quests or efficiency quests. So it was just such a natural fit for me to join that. And so I have, in the meantime, left A&O Shearman, and it's been interesting because I've had a little bit of you get that moment of orientation, and you get to sort of scratch all the curiosity itches you've had but you haven't had time for because you've just been so busy. So that has been really interesting, and led me down some amazing paths of talking to all these startup innovation people, and I'm just so impressed with the whole legal innovation industry, and it's been just so wonderful to sort of have a lot of different conversations, and I hadn't maybe expected it, but I very quickly became clear to me that the best fit for me was Legora. I just love what they're doing. I'm so impressed with their technology and with the team. And I love this sort of stance of being the collaborative legal AI. And I do believe that it has to be a collaboration. And it's not just that they're saying it. If you've been using the tech so deeply and for long in legal AI years, as I have, I just I saw it back in the results. I saw it back in the technology that they were really listening to their users, and so many things just felt so streamlined. I really appreciated that. So I will be joining Legora.
Good for you.
Exciting.
And good for them.
I hope so. But to be fair, when I went to law school, there was, of course, nothing like an innovation lead. And there was no job that was a legal engineer. But if I think back, so then I couldn't imagine that would be where you would go. And then when you look back, you're like, oh, this makes so much sense. Of course, if there's going to be something that's legal engineer, that would be what I would want to do.
Yeah.
So it's funny how that goes.
It is. And it sounds like you have a lot of, experience with building teams and setting up these innovation teams. And I can imagine a lot of law firms, but also legal departments are setting up these teams now.
Thank goodness, right? Thank goodness.
Yeah.
And not just people doing it as a side hustle, but actual real teams going at it strategically. Yeah, I'm so happy.
Good, yeah.
Finally.
And I was hoping you could maybe give them some tips, like what have you learned over the years that they can apply in building these teams? Yeah,
so lots of thoughts. And there's, again, how long do we have? I think so some of the things I would immediately say that is so incredibly important is, first of all, you have to get backing, right? You have to get leadership to support you. And now that is easier than it was when I started doing it. To be, I think I got it quite early on simply because I'd been at the firm so long as a lawyer that they sort of either felt that they had to give it to me or thought, okay, well, she usually knows what she's talking about, so let's trust her on this one.
Yeah.
So I'm very grateful for the leap of faith. But you have to get leadership to really get behind you, not just in the sound bites and innovation is important to us, but they have to really get on board with you and really support you, even if it takes an investment. Everyone can like it if they don't have to pay extra money. But as soon as there's an extra investment, things, of course, get a little crunchy.
Yeah.
And so having that relationship, but not just expecting it of them, but really explaining it to them and to get them enthusiastic and get them engaged about what you're doing, I think that is number one key.
Can you give some tips about that? How to?
So repeat. You just constantly beat the drum every time you have an opportunity to speak with them. You casually, but not casually, bring up innovation and the team, and you really share with them what you are doing, what your vision is. You show them things, and it's hard to get executive management to sit down for you. But you just have to keep trying and see and also you have to make sure that whatever you want to do aligns with their own strategy, right? They have a strategy, like deep dive on what the organization has decided is the most important thing. And then see if there's a way that you can bring what you want to do in line. You have to come with a what's in it for them.
I get it. Yeah, that's a really good point.
And honestly, that's the same thing that I would say about how do you get lawyers energized? How do you get them to use it? Because there is, tech engagement fatigue at one point. So don't start talking about functionality. I think so many people get this wrong. You get nobody's attention with functionality. So if you have the opportunity to get the team together, go to separate teams and walk in the door with, this is in it for you. Your work stream, I understand. This is a work stream you do. Let me show you how you can do that more efficiently. And then really, really prepare to come with a very good and relevant to them use case. Otherwise, you're just not going to hold their attention. And to be fair, they're busy. They have 100 other things that are urgent that day. So it's about having trusted relationships with everybody in the firm. And sometimes they'll just sit there and listen to me because they think, oh, it's Suzanne. I don't want to brush her off. They're too polite to brush me off. Let's put it that way. But you try and use that to get a foot in the door.
Yeah. When we zoom out a little bit, what do you see happening in the market? Like, what are some big trends?
Yeah, so as I say, sometimes I don't have all the answers of where we're all going. I do have...
Nobody does.
I do have some real big thoughts. And so one thing, and this is not because I have decided to go to a platform like Legora, but this is because I already felt that and why I was incentivized to go to a platform like Legora. And as an innovation lead, I have seen how much value tools can bring, but also how users whose day jobs are very different than, those of an innovation team can become confused about when to use what tool for what, and they don't have their logins, or every time they log in, they have to get used to a completely different environment, which they don't have maybe the time to, at that moment to invest in. So what I've noticed is if you can give them a platform that is able to just offer them this, huge and varied amount of functionality, from storing your data sets to having pre-built workflows to building your own workflows to playbooks and building your own playbooks, then that's a crowd pleaser, right? That is the what's in it for them. And you come in with something that has so many options that when you want to go and build a use case specific to the tax team, because you're going to go talk to them, or the real estate team, you can build something very easily that's going to be in it for them, right? And so it's one platform. They get used to it. I've seen that, after we've worked for a long time, obviously as an early adopter with Harvey, very easily you create value, a trust, and a stickiness. So
it's the end of the point solutions.
I don't think it is, please, because I love innovation. You cannot love innovation without loving all of the point solutions and all of the incredible startup community that there is in all of Europe. And I will always be an incredible, supporter of the tools that are out there that are building things that are of incredible value. I do think that in this sort of wider macro of this collaboration that I was saying, right? You can have a platform collaborating with specific tool solutions, and you can tool call. So you can go and use all of those tools, those point solutions, through a platform on almost seamlessly for the user. For the user that doesn't want to be confused with what was that tool again? And how do I log in? And how do I do this? And oh my God, admit I never went to the training, so now I have to do it without anyone explaining it to me. I think that there's something that's really interesting there. And I think it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
It's not a one or the other.
Okay. That makes sense. I mean, I do see some conflict of interest, like the way Facebook did it. They basically, the metaphor that I always use was like it's an eaten apple. You only have and all the apps and all the content is basically filling Facebook and attracting audience. So that was their business model.
Yeah.
And they did a really good job at that.
Yeah.
but I don't really see Legora, Zeno, like all these general purpose legal AIs making connections with things that they can build themselves. So if you create a point solution, you would have to create something that is, of additional value and basically not possible with generative AI.
Yeah, but that's kind of true generally in this whole. I was just so impressed with how many lawyers are starting to vibe code, right? I mean, if you vibe coding, so if you come with a solution, it already has to be you have to. It's raising the bar, right? If there are lawyers who can do this and love this, and I'd be the one. I do spend time playing with vibe coding. You already have to come with something that is adding value. If your single point solution is also a little bit generic and anyone can do it,
forget about it.
Then up your game.
Right.
Get something, go back to the drawing table and make it unique. And I think this is what any investor will ask. This is what, any incubator will ask. And honestly, also what any client will ask. What is your unique selling position that you can have, which the others don't, or what a platform doesn't? And as soon as you have that, I think you will get anybody's attention. You will get that from investors. You'll get that from, the clients and you will get that, possibly from the platforms.
So
is my thinking.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, no answers, just thoughts. Right?
Yeah, and this might be a little bit of an open door, but because your position is going to be with Legora, but I give trainings all the time, and then I ask people in the room, like, how many of you are using legal AI? And then maybe in good cases about 25% of the people raise their hands. And then I asked the rest, and then they basically use ChatGPT or Claude. So they're using raw LLMs. And they're all lawyers and or working at legal departments. And I'm just so surprised. Like, why is it taking them so long? And what is your take on this? Like, how important is it for legal departments to jump to legal AI? Or is it maybe a good thing that they're saving their money?
No, sorry. If you have strong feelings about it.
Yeah, tell us, yeah.
So first of all, I think that, listen, like, these are great ChatGPT, I use it a lot as well. I will never use it for a professional setting. It's just simply not safe. You don't know what the data, you cannot put anything that is client sensitive or, that is related to client material into a open platform like that.
Yeah.
And second of all, I don't, if you're using it just for assistance, just the assistant, but you're using it for planning a vacation, go for it. I use my pro accounts and I have them all and I love them all equally. I use them for that as well. But for professional purposes, I would definitely use one that is made for that professional purpose, not just on data security and privacy and confidentiality, but definitely, and has gone through all the rigorous security of your organization and, very important. But also the assistant tool, you're obviously going to want one that is already, you can prompt less if you're doing it in a legal AI tool. And of course, I've mentioned Harvey and Legora, but let's just be honest, there's a number of them out there. That output is always going to be better and more fit for purpose, which means your prompting can be more natural language, because hidden underneath that is already so much prompts of, I'm going to give you the output that you as a legal professional want.
Yeah.
And second of all, to me, the most intriguing thing, I love the assistants, but is the workflows, the playbooks, the fact that, Legora can open up in your Microsoft Word environment. And, the tooling that is already in there, that to me is a huge time saver. And I use it as a way to educate yourself. So I use a lot of sort of pre-built workflows, see what they're doing, and then think, oh, I could do that. Now I can just sort of customize it for myself. So I love that about it's the Harvey Vault or the tabular review. That's where you create incredible value and user stickiness. And I can't believe that there are people who only use the assistant when you're in the legal profession.
Yeah, well, I think they're basically taking the old route with, the total comparison and the RFP, and all they need to do is just start a pilot and maybe do a pilot with like 3 of them and then make a decision. And I don't understand why they're taking so long.
I'll be honest, when I speak to law firms and they say, yeah, we're actually quite happy with our, OpenAI, safely secured OpenAI tool, and I don't think...
Or Copilot, which is a drama. Using Copilot.
I'm not going to say anything unkind. Copilot has its purposes, but it's not something I use for legal work. It is wonderful to transcribe your Microsoft Teams.
Yeah.
And it's good at finding an email in my Outlook. But not for legal work.
It's totally not fit for that. No. Totally not fit for that. They have a lot
Horses
of
for courses.
Yeah.
I'm a huge believer in that. I would not ask an M&A lawyer to help me with my very dramatic litigation that relates to competition. You get a specialist. You're not going to get the wrong lawyer who's completely not equipped at that. So why would you use the wrong tool that's not equipped or for purpose?
Yeah.
So
the law firms and legal departments have the same problem. Law firms, they have the problem that people want less or more for less, and legal departments are super small. The average is like 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, and they
have so much to do.
Can I just say hats off to legal departments everywhere. They have to cover so much with all the regulation coming out of the Benelux, but also just even more broad than that. And they have to stay on top of all of that and do the contracting. I'm amazed. I also think that AI can, if it's useful for law firms, and from a law firm background, I say 100%. I think it is the most useful for in-house teams. You need that extra time saver. It's almost like a whole extra person on your team if you learn to use it effectively. And I think it really can, even more just on a ROI, and I don't always love that discussion, but here for in-house, it's so much easier to get that back, right? With law firms, you always have the, I don't love that conversation either, which is but otherwise we could have billed that time, because I don't think you could, because clients shouldn't be getting billed for things that you can do in a better way. But for an in-house counsel, you were actually saving time that you might otherwise have to outsource to a law firm, simply because you often don't have the time to do everything. So in a sense, law firms can be the almost sort of, flexible, extra work allocator, right? If they're in a squeeze, they'll, outsource things because they don't have the people to do it themselves. And now you can do that to AI and save on law firm fees. So I don't understand why that's taking long.
Right. I hear you and I agree with you. So that's basically a good thing. There's a big opportunity, and lives are going to be easier, and people will have more time on their hands.
If it's, and let's be honest. So for in-house, they already have all this stuff that they have to cover, which we just talked about, right? And all those regulations. But then they also have this extra new whole work stream, which is speed dating with software, trying to find the right tools. It can be really hard if you're not, at home in this market, to understand what tools are going to serve you better. It's this whole jumble. And what I will see, what they often do is they'll just respond to tools that reach out to them.
Yeah.
Whereas what they need to do is come up with a sort of, first of all, create a team. sit down, sort of assess what are all my use cases, what are the things that isn't working well enough, and then they need to be the ones reaching out to the solution providers on a strategic basis and not just responding to whoever has just texted them or emailed them with an invite for it to do a demo. And then I think it's really important because I think for in-house, it's like, because they are so broad, right? They're doing so much and covering so much ground. It just makes sense to look at a platform first. And then for any specific things, look very strategically at, okay, this is the one thing we can't do with the platform. For this, we're going to go and look for the correct and the, interesting point solution. So it's just thinking about it as a sort of a tech stack. You start with your platform and then you start
adding stuff on top
that you think is done in an easier or better or more deep dive way with a single point solution.
Let's do some predictions.
Oh dear.
I'm asking you to look in your glass bowl and to tell us what's going to happen in the next few years, both on the law firm side and the legal department side. What do you think?
I find this always hard. I know that there are people. Okay, so first, few thoughts. First thing, sometimes I think what's going to happen that we forget about, but what's out here now, and look how freaking amazing this is, right? I feel like we've waited so long for this, and it's here, and I just sometimes want to enjoy it and not. And I know that there are a lot of people who have all these dystopian thoughts about where it's going. And I want to be hopeful. I still see this as something that is, if we do it correctly, and this is why I'm so into this collaboration idea. If we have big law, we might have big law tech, right? The big platforms.
Yeah.
And then we have mid-size and smaller law, but we also have mid-size and smaller law tech. And we're able to come up with the most interesting collaborations that really get to move the needle for legal work in general. That inspires me, and I'm hopeful about that. Does it scare me? Of course it scares me, absolutely. I worry sometimes about our young lawyers starting out now. How are we going to give them the right skills? How are we going to make sure that they have a career in an interesting career in law where they are able to add value and do strategic work?
Do you have any advice for them? Because I worry about them too. I just now someone asked me, he's a junior at a big law firm, and he's like, do I need to worry? And I said to him, you do. And I think it's a good thing. Like, fear will move you in the right direction. And I would definitely, maybe if your company doesn't buy legal AI, just buy an account yourself, make that investment and show them that you're the one understanding the software and taking that leap, and then you'll be on the right side,
I think that's exactly true. First of all, you just have to be open and curious, and you have to, I think so much of the legal industry, in the legal industry, we've become so good, like sitting back and judging and, punishing mistakes and being like, oh, they got that wrong. And I think the entire industry needs to lean forward and be curious and open-minded and think, like, applaud the experiments even if they didn't go perfectly. And I think if you immediately start with this learning mindset as someone who's starting out now, then, and you are interested in the tech and the AI, and you want to see how you can use that to the best of your ability and to make yourself as efficient and value adding as possible, I think you're always going to, you're always going to have a place. I do not think law firms are going to not exist anymore or all of that. I do think that they will change. And I think the first thing that is going to change is the leverage. the leverage is going to be affected the first, and that has a bigger impact, if you will, for big law firms than it does for medium-sized and smaller law firms. So I almost see more upside of this time, as long as you upskill yourself, for mid-size and boutique firms. Then and big law might be, that's so traditionally dependent on leverage, they're going to have to transform quicker.
That's interesting. So what could happen is that a lot of smaller firms pop up left and right.
If you think about what was one of the things that was so comfortable for law firms, you had these armies of people.
Mm-hmm.
You got a big transaction, you could staff that thing, right? You could outstaff anyone. Yeah. I mean, that was sort of your comfortable position in big law. And let's be honest, I enjoyed that, a long time, because I spent 28 years very happy in big law. But if you think about it, you don't need armies of people anymore. You need a few good people and some really great AI tools. And so I think these boutique firms, certainly the ones that are starting now with, really focused on AI as in a strategic way, like Garfield, I mean, they have my full attention. But I think any firm that doesn't have the armies of people, but is doing an incredible job in their sector, the boutique firms, there is almost bigger opportunity for them, I think, because they are not as leveraged, and they are not going to be hit as hard by the leverage problem or the leverage transformation. I'm not going to call it a problem, because I think, big law can get this right, but they have to be thinking about this for sure.
Any other predictions?
So many. But then I'm always going to watch this in 10 years and be like, well, 5 years or 2 years. I just want to say, I'm very hopeful for the legal industry, and I'm not going to go all dystopia. I do think there are scary elements to this for sure. But I also think we're an incredible industry. We have an amazing, smart people in the industry, and I've been in this industry for almost 3 decades. Mm-hmm. And I think we can figure it out. But I think anyone that thinks that this is going to go away and that this is a flash in the pan and not taking this seriously, I think that then you miss out.
What do you think of the chance of non-lawyers, non-legal people taking over a lot of the work because the intelligence is going to be inside the AIs?
Yeah. So there's different types of work that we do, right, as lawyers. I think that there is sometimes work that's just processing, is just sort of, like going through the motions of a big M&A or a big transaction, and none of them are they're important to the client, but maybe none of them are hugely groundbreaking or hard, or we are not doing extremely novel things here. And I think for sure, there's going to be more work, more of that kind of work, like the plain vanilla work, right? Mm-hmm. That is repeated a lot. So obviously the foundational models are going to, get pretty smart about that, because there's a lot of information about how those things are done. So I think the vanilla work, there is a risk. But I also know that there are parts of what we do which are super specific and niche. And sometimes someone has to have done that, has really specific knowledge, maybe also the right connections, maybe a real insight into things that the market isn't generally seeing. How do you, so I think and the people who are doing that kind of work, that truly boardroom consultant, advisory, this can make or break your company, but I've been here before and I've done that. That will not go away easily. I don't see at this moment that kind of work is going to be given and entirely left to an AI. I think humans are still going to value the human connections and insights. But I do think the plain vanilla work will be a more at risk, for sure.
Good chance, yeah. This has been so fun. Who should I drive around with next?
All right, well, this is very selfish of me. But one of the persons, and again, I don't want to sort of this is not just because I'm going to Lagora that I'm saying that, but I'm going to Lagora because I already felt this. So I just want to make sure we have the causation and correlation lines clear. I love listening to Max Junstad of Lagora. He's just so smart. So I have listened to almost all of the podcasts I've been able to find with him in it. And so for purely selfish reasons, I would say him, because then I get another podcast. But I think he has a lot going on. So maybe another person I always love, sort of just because I think he's so insightful and has such great ideas and yet does it brings so much fun to the table, is Jonathan Williams of Lagora. So I'm going to put those two names out there.
That's awesome.
And let you take care of who you can get in touch with.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. This has been so lovely.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me. I could drive around like this for hours.
Yeah, right? We could continue for another 2 hours. But maybe we'll do a second one, in a year or something, and see how much of what you said actually...
the proof will be in the pudding, and you'll be like, Suzanne, you had this prediction and you totally got it wrong, which is why I'm so hesitant always.
But it's also beautiful to be wrong. I was
Yes, but I also am careful because I don't want to be boxed in by my thinking, and I don't want to be boxed in by my predictions. I do feel like some people have then made sort of these wide sweeping predictions about where it's going.
Yeah.
And then they feel like they have to keep that up.
Right.
And I truly want to have the learning, open mindset that we need in this industry.
Yeah.
I want to completely blank page anything that I see happening, and I have thoughts, but I try not to make sweeping predictions from that because I don't want to be boxed in my thinking.
Right.
I want to be have the opportunity to say, oh, this is a new aspect. I haven't thought about that before. Let me take a look at that. Aha. Wow. I'm going to think about that for a while. So the predictions, I feel like I love them, but I also get uncomfortable with them because I want the open mindset. If that makes any sense.
It does. I think you can make predictions and keep an open mindset.
For sure.
And just be agnostic about, the percentage of chance that it's actually going to happen.
And I don't think that, I think so much of what's going on in this industry, and certainly in the innovation segment right now, is not like launching a rocket, we're going in that direction. It's just a lot of different currents. And it's not about, thinking, oh, this is one way we're going at it, but it's about, these are trends, these are movements, and there are many of them. And it's about sort of understanding the current and then seeing how they converge together in a way that you think, okay, clearly, the converging currents are going in that direction.
And then finding your path on that.
Yes.
Right.
Surfing the waves of
Exactly.
those currents. Yes.
Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. This was so wonderful. And I love this fancy, snazzy car.
Thank you for listening to Beyond Billable Driving Conversations. This podcast is a collaboration with NEO. If you found this episode meaningful, please subscribe or leave us a review. And if you have any questions about this episode, feel free to reach out via hello@clayrichard.eu.